Hey there you guys, Irene Lane here. Welcome to this video, to this YouTube channel, and to this world of healing trauma, nervous system health, and all things neuroplasticity. Today I want to dig into a question that I got on social media, and it went something like this. How do I know if I am actually making progress when I'm working with a somatic therapist, a somatic experiencing practitioner working at this level of the nervous system? So how do I know if I'm getting better? And I'm going to answer that with two words, and those words are capacity and regulation. Capacity and regulation. I'm going to break those down in a second. But first, I want to share something that I said on a podcast a little while ago that goes perfectly with this question. The podcast was the Polyvagal podcast. Justin Sinceri is the host. I'm going to post those links below. It's a two-part series. It's 2 hours long and it's really good. So if you have some time or if you break this up into a few chunks of listening, I really recommend you listen to it because there's a lot in there that I don't always talk about on my videos here. So check those out. But I said something like this at one point in our chat, and that is that healing trauma is a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix, and yet what we've treated it like in the past is like a medical condition that we're trying to fix. So I'll kind of repeat that again. We've treated healing trauma like a medical condition we've tried to fix. And I think that there's a reason for that. It's because when we have trapped traumatic stress in our physiology, it comes out in conditions, medical conditions, things that we have deemed medical conditions like fibromyalgia, like Crohn's, like migraine headaches, mental illnesses, all the various attachment disorders, and you name it, that are in the DSM that diagnose psychiatric illness. We've labeled all these things as medical conditions that we have to fix. What we're seeing is that many, if not all, of these chronic conditions, mental and physical, are a result of some form of dysregulation within the autonomic nervous system and our inability or our trouble connecting with others, attuning with others, and being in our environment. So that's something that I wanted to set the stage for as I get into this question is we need to see this work not as a quick fix, but as a lifestyle. So to go back to the question, I said there are two words what we need to look at when we ask ourselves, are we getting better when we're doing these somatic healing practices? Capacity and regulation. So regulation I'm going to tackle first. Basically, regulation of the nervous system, autonomic nervous system, means that we have got a smooth cycling of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system activity going on. I'm not going to get into the basics of these. I'm going to post a series of videos below in the show more section. Be sure to check those out. But quick background, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic, and we want these two to be working in good harmony and flow with one another. But when we have really severe traumatic stress that's still in our system, if we had an early upbringing that was highly stressed and wasn't safe, our sympathetic and our parasympathetic are both on at the same time and they're conflicting. They're not in this nice, smooth flow. One is maybe going off, the other's going off, or they're both shutting down at the same time, etc. So when that chaos is occurring in the system, it impacts our entire physiology, our digestion, our immune system, our ability to release hormones properly, our ability to go to sleep and wake up in the morning, our cardiovascular system. It impacts our ability to relate with other people. It impacts our ability to attune with our children, to attune with the world, to be able to assess danger and safety. So it messes with all of it when we have dysregulation in the nervous system. So with that said, if we reverse engineer that, if we are improving in our nervous system health, if we are working well at helping to re-regulate and regulate the system, all of those things are going to improve. And this is where it gets a little maybe confusing for some people because we often don't see some miraculous quick shift. We see little tiny shifts in all of the systems. So our digestion might improve a little bit. Our appetite might shift. Our ability to go to sleep might change. Our ability to wake up in the morning might be a little different. Our ability to relate to others might change. Our ability to go out into the world and engage might be just a little bit different, right? Our capacity to heal an illness, maybe a common cold, might be slightly different. Our ability to take care of ourselves and rest when we need might be a little more tuned. Our ability to set boundaries might be a bit different. Our anger responses might come up because they've been suppressed for so long, or we might feel sadness because it hasn't been allowed to feel sad. So there's all these pieces that contribute to, or will look as though when we're more regulated, they start to perk up. But they're not usually exclusive. They're all happening at the same time. So part of our job, part of your job, if you're doing this work, is to monitor this, and not in a way that's obsessive necessarily, but just to be like, I've actually noticed that my bowel movements are a bit different, or I'm able to notice when I'm not hungry, or when I'm not full, or I'm full, I should say. When I'm eating, my hunger cues are more tuned in, or I just was able to set a boundary with someone, and normally I'm too afraid to say that, and I just put, my foot down and said no, or maybe I said yes. Maybe I asked for support, and normally that is something that I would never ever do because I can never count on anybody. So a lot of these pieces of regulation, it isn't just going to be physiological, it often is. So digestion, hormones, immune system, sleep, etc., energy, but it also is how we relate to others and how we relate to the environment. It may be more enjoyable to just go for a walk in the park and see the trees and feel the ground under our feet, whereas before it was boring, right? So there's all these little pieces that show that we're gaining regulation. Now the second word, capacity. Capacity goes with regulation, and in some ways when we build capacity, we improve our regulation. However, it goes the other way around too. When we build regulation, our capacity improves. And capacity is just this ability to have more capacity, more ability, more space, if you will, for things in life. So something that may have triggered us or stressed us out in the past, we realize, that happened just now, and I didn't spend an entire week fretting about it. Or something just occurred, maybe someone cut me off in traffic and I got a little angry, but now I'm just fine and I can drive home and I'm not going to fume about it for the rest of the night. Or maybe if you are a parent and you have a little one who's not well, and you're noticing that you can just be with them rather than feeling frustrated and maybe raising your voice to them. So all of that is examples of capacity building as a result of doing this somatic work. So regulation and capacity go hand in hand. In one of my videos, a 3-part series that I do, I'll link that below as well. It's called Healing Trauma. I talk about this analogy of a swimming pool. And it's probably one of the best analogies I've come across of the body is our swimming pool, basically. And when we have low capacity, our pool is very small and we can't fit a lot in it. And as we grow capacity, we're able to bring in more into our system without it feeling cramped. So part of becoming more attuned to our sensations, to our body, to our physiology, orienting to the space around us, being able to seek out support or set boundaries, all of these elements build capacity, and then in turn that is also building regulation and vice versa. So to go back to that question, how does a person know if they are improving within the somatic work they're doing? Basically, your regulation is going to improve, so your physiological state is going to improve, your mental capacity is going to improve, because when we're not living in that dysregulation, we can think clearer, we can even speak clearer. We have better tone in our voice to raise our voice or to bring our voice down and be very quiet, right? So our regulation improves and our capacity, which means we can do more, we can be more, and we can experience more without our system going into shutdown or into activation. So I hope this has been useful. Make sure to check out that podcast that I mentioned that's on the Polyvagal podcast. I Loved the episode with Justin. We cover so much, so be sure to check that out, and also the other videos that I've linked below. Take very good care, and we will see you next time.